Noperabo. In the shadowed alleys and lonely roads of Japan, where the line between the real and the supernatural blurs, there lurks a creature known as the Noperabo. Unlike other yokai that haunt the mountains or deep forests, the Noperabo walks among humans, appearing at first as an ordinary person. But when least expected, its true nature is revealed. A face devoid of all features, a smooth blank canvas where eyes, nose and mouth should be. The legend of the Noperabo is not one of violence or malice, but of terror born from the uncanny. These faceless apparitions do not attack or physically harm their victims. Instead, they rely on the sheer horror of their revelation to send chills down the spines of those unfortunate enough to encounter them. One of the most famous stories of the Noperabo is the tale of the Mujina. In this well-known legend, a weary traveller stops at a roadside riverbank and encounters a woman weeping in the darkness. Concerned, he approaches her, asking if she is all right. Slowly, she lifts her face to him, and where her features should be, there is only smooth, featureless skin. Stricken with terror, the man flees, running until he reaches a nearby tea house. Breathless and desperate, he tells the tea house owner what he has seen. The owner listens quietly, nodding along to the story. Then, with a calm smile, he turns to the traveller, and his own face fades into the same empty void. The traveller, consumed by fear, collapses or runs into the night, his fate left to the imagination. These spectral beings are not bound to one location, and they can appear anywhere. A dark road, a quiet temple, or even a bustling city street, where, at first glance, they seem like an ordinary passerby. Sometimes they take the form of someone familiar, only to erase their face at the moment of recognition, leaving the victim questioning reality itself. Unlike vengeful spirits or man-eating monsters, Noperabo seem to exist purely to instill fear and unease. There are no stories of them physically harming people, only of their terrifying presence, causing those who encounter them to flee in dread. Some theories suggest they may be a form of shape-shifting yokai, possibly related to Mujina, badger-like creatures known for illusions, or kitsune, fox spirits who play tricks on humans. Others speculate they are ghostly entities, manifestations of the unknown lurking in the everyday world. Modern interpretations of the Noperabo continue to thrive in Japanese horror, literature, and film. The fear of seeing something deeply familiar, only for it to suddenly become completely alien, is a timeless horror that resonates across cultures. Whether as cautionary tales warning against travelling alone at night, or simply stories meant to send a chill down the spine, the Noperabo remains one of Japan's most unsettling supernatural beings. Perhaps even now, in the corner of a dimly lit street or a quiet room, there stands someone who seems perfectly normal, until they turn to you and their face vanishes into nothingness. Tengu, among the many mystical beings of Japanese folklore. Few are as enigmatic and revered as the tengu. These supernatural creatures, often depicted as powerful warrior spirits of the mountains and forests, embody both wisdom and chaos, serving as protectors, tricksters, and even mentors to those deemed worthy. Their legend spans centuries, weaving through Buddhist teachings, Shinto beliefs, and the martial traditions of the samurai. Tengu are typically divided into two primary forms: the Karasu Tengu, or Crow Tengu, and the Konoha Tengu, also known as the Yamabushi Tengu. The Karasu Tengu appear as humanoid creatures with bird-like features, including beaks, wings, and clawed talons. In contrast, the Konoha tengu have more human-like appearances, but are distinguished by their long red noses and fierce, otherworldly expressions. Both types are often depicted wearing the robes of mountain priests, yamabushi, signifying their connection to ascetic practices and spiritual power. Originating from Buddhist influences, tengu were initially regarded as disruptive demons that spread chaos and mislead monks. Early tales described them as malevolent spirits, causing landslides, starting fires, and corrupting those who sought enlightenment. However, as centuries passed, their image evolved from malicious troublemakers to powerful, albeit unpredictable, guardians of the mountains. Over time, tengu became seen as protectors of sacred spaces and forests, acting as both wardens and judges of those who entered their domain. One of the most famous attributes of the tengu is their mastery of martial arts and swordsmanship. Legends tell of samurai who sought out these supernatural beings in hopes of learning their combat skills. Perhaps the most well-known story is that of Minamoto no Yoshitsune, a legendary warrior who was said to have been trained by the Tengu king, Sojobo, in the remote mountains of Kurama. The teachings he received allowed him to become one of Japan's greatest historical figures, demonstrating the belief that Tengu, while dangerous, could also serve as mentors to those who proved themselves worthy. Despite their association with warfare, Tengu are also known as tricksters, delighting in deceiving the arrogant and punishing those who disrespect nature or the gods. They are said to be able to possess people, create powerful illusions, and even shapeshift to confuse and test individuals. Those who show humility and reverence in the mountains may be rewarded with protection or guidance, while those who act with greed or recklessness risk the wrath of the Tengu's supernatural powers. Tengu play a prominent role in Japanese religious and cultural traditions. Temples dedicated to them exist throughout Japan, where they are venerated as spirits of wisdom and guardians of hidden knowledge. In some regions, festivals celebrate the Tengu's influence, with masked performers dressed as these creatures to honour their presence. Even in modern times, the image of the Tengu persists in popular culture, appearing in literature, anime and video games as figures of mysticism and martial prowess. The legend of the Tengu continues to thrive, a testament to their dual nature as both feared and respected beings. Whether seen as vengeful spirits, wise mentors, or playful tricksters, they remain an enduring symbol of Japan's rich mythology, standing as eternal sentinels in the misty mountains they call home. Oni, towering over mortals with their fearsome forms. The Oni of Japanese mythology are some of the most terrifying and powerful yokai ever to haunt the human imagination. These monstrous beings, often associated with chaos, destruction, and punishment, have been depicted in countless tales, serving as both menacing villains and symbolic forces of retribution. Their legacy persists through folklore, festivals, and modern media, ensuring their place as one of Japan's most iconic supernatural creatures. Oni are commonly described as enormous, ogre-like demons with brightly coloured skin, most often red, blue, or green. Their bodies are covered in thick muscle, their faces twisted into fearsome expressions with sharp fangs and glaring eyes. Large, curved horns protrude from their foreheads, and they often wear tiger skin loincloths, wielding heavy iron clubs, known as kanabo, as weapons of brute force. The phrase oni ni kanabo, like giving a club to an oni, has even become a Japanese proverb, meaning to make someone or something even more powerful. The origins of Oni are complex. as their role in mythology has evolved over time. Some tales depict them as former human souls that were so wicked in life that they transformed into demons upon death, doomed to roam the world as monstrous beings. Others suggest that Oni were once servants of hell, carrying out punishments on the wicked before some escaped to wreak havoc on the living. Their presence in Buddhist texts reinforces their connection to the underworld, where they serve as enforcers of divine justice, punishing sinners and dragging them to their eternal fates. Despite their fearsome reputation, Oni are not always purely evil. Some stories feature Oni as protectors, acting as guardians of sacred places or fierce warriors who defend against greater evils. There are even legends of reform Oni who, through acts of kindness or wisdom, manage to integrate into human society. This duality, being both fearsome destroyers and potential allies, has allowed Oni to remain complex figures in Japanese mythology. Perhaps the most famous tale of Oni is the legend of Momotaro, the Peach Boy. In this story, a young hero, born from a giant peach, embarks on a journey to defeat a band of wicked Oni who terrorize the people of his land. With the help of loyal animal companions, Momotaro infiltrates the Oni's island stronghold, overcomes them through cunning and bravery, and returns victorious. This story solidified Oni as fearsome adversaries, yet also as creatures that could be bested through courage and cleverness. Oni also play a major role in Japan's annual Setsubun festival. During this celebration, people throw roasted soybeans outside their homes while shouting Oni wa Soto, Fuku wa Uchi. Oni out, fortune in, to drive away misfortune and evil spirits. Some households even have someone wear an Oni mask while others throw beans at them, reinforcing the belief that by banishing the Oni, they're ensuring good luck for the coming year. From ancient folklore to modern anime and manga, the Oni's image has remained a potent one in Japanese culture. Whether seen as vengeful demons, misunderstood outcasts, or symbols of raw power, their legacy endures. The stories of Oni remind us that strength can be both destructive and protective, and that even the most fearsome beings may hold within them the capacity for change. Kappa, among the many strange and fearsome creatures of Japanese mythology, few are as well known or as deeply ingrained in the cultural consciousness as the Kappa. A creature of the rivers and lakes, the Kappa is both a trickster and a terror, capable of playful mischief as well as deadly cruelty. For centuries, its legend has been used to both entertain and warn, reminding people of the dangers that lurk beneath the surface of still waters. The Kappa is typically described as a small, humanoid creature with green, scaly skin, webbed hands and feet, and a turtle-like shell on its back. Its most distinctive feature, however, is the water-filled depression, or sara, on the top of its head. This dish-like cavity is the source of the Kappa's strength, and it must remain full at all times. If the water is spilled or dries out, the creature is weakened, sometimes to the point of death. Because of this vulnerability, clever humans have occasionally outwitted the Kappa by bowing deeply to it, tricking the polite creature into returning the bow and thus spilling its precious water. Kappa are said to inhabit Japan's many rivers, lakes and ponds, lurking just beneath the surface as they wait for the perfect moment to emerge. Their nature is as fluid as the waters they dwell in. Some stories portray them as harmless pranksters, known for stealing crops, playing tricks on fishermen, or engaging in sumo wrestling with those who challenge them. They are also known for their peculiar love of cucumbers, which has led to the tradition of throwing cucumbers into the water as an offering to appease them and ensure safe passage. However, not all encounters with kappa are benign. Many legends speak of their darker tendencies, dragging unsuspecting travellers, especially children, into the water and drowning them. They are infamous for their obsession with shirikadama, a mythical organ said to reside in the human body, which they supposedly extract from drowning victims. Some tales suggest that kappa commit these acts out of sheer malice, while others imply they do so out of an inescapable instinct. Despite their fearsome reputation, kappa are not entirely beyond reason. Some myths describe them as being capable of gratitude, and even forming unlikely friendships with humans. A kappa who is defeated in a contest or shown mercy may offer a gift in return, such as medical knowledge or assistance in farming. There are even stories of kappa becoming loyal protectors of villages, helping to irrigate fields, or warning against impending disasters in exchange for regular offerings of cucumbers. Over time, the image of the kappa has shifted from a sinister predator to a more mischievous but ultimately manageable being. Today, kappa appear in Japanese folklore, art, and pop culture, often depicted as quirky, childlike figures, rather than monsters. Statues of kappa can be found near rivers and ponds, serving both as reminders of the legends and as playful mascots. Still, for those who venture too close to the water's edge, the old warnings remain. Respect the rivers, beware the unseen depths, and never underestimate the creatures that dwell within. Jorogumo. In the shadowed corners of Japan's folklore, where yokai and spirits weave their legends into the fabric of the world, there exists a creature of both beauty and terror, the Jorogumo, a being of deception and deadly allure. The Jorogumo is a spider spirit, capable of taking the form of a mesmerizing woman, luring unsuspecting men into her web of illusion and destruction. Her legend has persisted through centuries, whispered in fearful tones by those who know the dangers of trusting what seems too beautiful to be real. The name Jorogumo translates to binding bride or entangling bride, a fitting title for a creature whose very nature is to ensnare her prey. In her natural form, she is an enormous spider, often depicted as a golden orb weaver, her many legs stretching out with unnatural grace. Yet her true terror lies in her ability to transform, shedding her monstrous guise to become a woman of haunting beauty. With flawless skin, flowing black hair, and a voice as smooth as silk, she moves through the world unnoticed, her captivating presence masking the predator that lurks beneath the surface. Legends say the Jorogumo dwells near waterfalls, remote inns, or abandoned temples, places where lonely travellers might seek refuge. She appears as a kind and enchanting woman, offering hospitality to weary men who cross her path. Her voice is soft, her smile gentle, and her eyes carry a mysterious depth that beckons her victims closer. Yet those who succumb to her charm soon find themselves trapped, their strength sapped by an invisible force, their limbs heavy as if wrapped in unseen threads. Before they realize the danger, she reveals her true form, the illusion shattering as her spider legs emerge, and her silken threads tighten around them. Once ensnared, escape is impossible. The Jorogumo does not grant a swift death. Rather, she plays with her prey, much like a spider toying with a captured insect. Some stories tell of her singing to her victims as she drains them of life, her haunting melody lingering in the air long after they have vanished. Others speak of her summoning swarms of tiny spiderlings to feast upon those caught in her web. In the most chilling of tales, she does not kill her victims immediately, but keeps them alive, feeding upon them slowly over days, savouring their suffering. Despite her fearsome reputation, not all stories paint the Joragumo as purely malevolent. In some versions of her tale, she possesses a sense of emotion and tragedy. One story tells of a Joragumo who fell in love with a human man, her affection battling against her nature as a predator. Though she longed to be with him, she knew that sooner or later, her instincts would overpower her heart, dooming him to the same fate as her past victims. In the end, she chose to disappear rather than bring harm to the one she loved. Her sorrowful tale a rare glimpse into the complexity of yokai existence. The origins of the Joragumo legend likely stem from the natural behaviours of the real-world orb weaver spider, which is known for its patience, deadly precision, and sometimes even the devouring of its own mates. Over time, these traits were woven into mythology, transforming the humble spider into a supernatural being capable of seduction and horror. Her legend also serves as a cautionary tale, warning against blind trust in appearances, particularly for men who might be tempted by beauty without considering the danger it may conceal. Even in modern Japan, the legend of the Joragumo persists, her story finding its way into literature, art, and even popular culture. Some believe that the echoes of her presence can still be felt in the deep forests and hidden waterfalls, where travellers sometimes report seeing a beautiful woman who vanishes the moment they approach, whether as a ghostly whisper of the past or a lingering presence in the shadows. The Joragumo remains one of Japan's most fascinating and terrifying yokai, a reminder that beauty can be as deadly as it is enchanting.